Shameless self-promotion shout out. Probably the last thing I'm publishing this year. Of course, it was the inevitable Goblins with Sticks for Shadowdark. Welcome to Shadowdark Goblin Punk with Sticks, my fantasy role-playing supplement for the amazing Shadowdark that I wrote with my good friend the Dungeon Janitor for Grim Jim to make fun of Shadowdark and all things grim and depressing and dark and emo and punk and all the things that we've applied to fantasy lately, because we've forgotten that it's a silly game about goblins with sticks. So I wrote a silly game about goblins with sticks, and now I'm going to spend a couple minutes showing it to you because it's the holidays, and if you're going to buy anything cool for the holidays, you should buy my stuff, right? I mean, I wrote a game. You should buy it. It's about goblins with sticks in Shadowdark. So basically, I've just taken Shadowdark apart, put it back together with a very tongue-in-cheek view about goblins going on fantasy adventures. Let's take a look. Right now we have the cover by our wonderful artist friend, Mr. Weatherford, of some goblin punks doing stuff. Yeah, Grim Jim did the setup, as you can see. Here's the introduction about goblins and sticks. Of course, you know, the time-honored belief that at the end of the day, this is still a silly game about goblins with sticks, and we have forgotten that, and we need to remember that. And that's the point of this game. It's just fun. It's make-believe with rules. So here's how do you make your character creation, your different characters. You have goblins, hobgoblins, gnomes, who are the sworn enemy of goblins, and of course humans, because you got to have humans around in case you don't want to play goblins. Here's how to make a goblin or anybody for a character, including some tiddlies. Thanks, Jim. Then we have the different classes. We've got the fighter class, my thief class, got the wizard class. Those are the three classes that are available to goblins. Goblin with stick, goblin with pointy stick, goblin with magic stick. And here's a goblin wizard doing wizardy stuff. Here's your background for the different goblins that you can play. And a goblin bartender, more tiddlies. Thanks, Jim. Goblin starting gear, a human with maybe too much gear. I don't know. The shopping section for cess gear and ammo, and all the goblin-centric magic items and goblin-centric normal items, like, you know, goblin solvent, goblin emergency food supply, goblin instant water, goblin instant ice, got the different types of goblin armor, the different types of goblin weapons, like rock on a string, scorpion on a stick, the ridiculously huge anime sword. That's something you can buy. Goblin ranged weapons, goblin punk attire for clothing to dress up your goblin as he goes off doing punk fantasy type stuff. Here's some punk goblins doing punk fantasy adventuring. Here's how to level up. Typical Shadowdark, but from the goblin punk thing. Here's the goblin magic system. What goes wrong, what goes right. The various goblin spells. Some of this is just directly out of Shadowdark, which some modifications. Here's the different spells. We've got the first level tiers: armor, bolt, bless, bane, burn, can we fix it, fire breath, goblin assault, how far is that, I just work here, smoke bomb, silent engine, torch, turn undead, walk it off, what is that, where am I, and where are my pants. Those are the first level goblin spells. The second level goblin spells are cure wounds, flaming sphere, goblin grenade, goblin bomb, goblin festival, hold, instant cactus, instant pit, might as well jump, kite, mini cousin, and strength of 10 goblins, speed of 10 goblins. And they're normal spells that have been goblin-fied. So you'll have them each having a sort of a goblin undead type magic name to it, and then the actual description of what the spells do. then here's the reincarnation table. Here's how to play the game. You know, all the different stuff. Goblin luck, strength checks, intelligence checks, stuff like that. Combat. What you can do after combat. Downtime for goblins. The how to play goblins section, including the think like a goblin, you know, how to run goblet-centric adventures. Here's a goblin adventure generator. The rewards for going on adventures. Some world and some information on the setting. We've got a bar called the Burnt Drowned Anvil, where everybody knows your name. They just don't care. That the goblins can hang out at, and adventures that might generate from the bar. Then, of course, we've got Fresno, Nevada, because Fresno is the core setting for all the games in the Goblin, Sesgear, and Anime universe. Some information on Fresno, and then some adventure hooks that could happen to you while you're in Fresno. Then, of course, a section on Sesgear and ammo, and adventure hooks that could happen to you generated from Sesgear and ammo. Then we have a dungeon and some rules about dungeons and adventures hooks for dungeons. Because a dungeon's where you're going to spend most of your goblin time. We've got a bestiary, including the different goblin types. And of course, slime, because slime show up in all my adventures. Then we have an alternate super grim dark punk combat system. This is an alternate system. This is the opposite of like a hardcore rule system. Like a lot of games now have the normal rules, and then they have the optional hardcore death, grim, dark, type rules. I've done the opposite. So this is the as easy as humanly possible rules that I wrote up. You might remember these. I wrote them up like a year ago when everybody was going through that whole argument about, not having to roll to hit anymore. So I wrote up my own, and this is them. This is taking that idea to the most ridiculous goblin extreme, where not only do you not have to hit, nobody has to roll any dice whatsoever. So this is the alternate super grim dark punk combat rules. And then just the usual stuff, the legal stuff. And there you go. Shadowdark, Goblin Punk, Grim Fantasy with Stick. It was inevitable that the goblins would invade the fantasy world of Shadowdark. Oh, you think your grim dark fantasy is now? Well, wait till the goblins make it better, including Shadowdark rules for running a goblin-centric fantasy game. Remember, kids, at the end of the day, you are a goblin. Here's your stick. Go out and save the world. Okay, so obviously this is tongue-in-cheek. It is very silly. It is taking Shadowdark and applying it to the idea that it's just a silly game with goblins with sticks, and that's it. And it's only when we start forgetting that all this trouble and name calling and finger pointing and multiple videos from several individuals about how we're all wrong start, because we've forgotten that it's silly play. It's goblin with sticks. So after all the other goblin games I wrote, we wrote this. And this is sort of the core center game rules for all my other goblin rule games that I've written over the past year. Space Goblins, Old West Goblins, the upcoming Goblin Apocalypse, whatever else I'm going to do in 2025 about goblins, super goblins, I don't know. This will probably be rewritten to be more of a core-centric actual game rules using Shadowdark as the core, because got to milk that Shadowdark fame for as long as we can, right? And it's a good introductory system. And yes, do not expect this to be serious. It is goofy fun. It's just going and playing and being silly. And it's available now. And it's relatively cheap. So if you're wondering what to get yourself and me for the holidays, check it out. Shameless self-promotion. Shadowdark Goblin Punk by yours truly. Links down below. Thanks for listening to me. Have a great day. I'll talk to you soon. Tell that you go screaming, flying, like a flying,